In this video, we'll be taking a look at both the Senate Guard and the Emperor's Royal Guard for the Revenge of the Sith line. So the reason why I have both these grouped together is they're both figure number 23 in the Revenge of the Sith line. So originally, Hasbro released the Senate Guard here. Then a couple months later, they ended up doing a variant, which was the Emperor's Royal Guard. I think they did that. I don't think it was necessarily so much as a secret that old people aren't supposed to know about the Emperor's Royal Guard. I'm pretty sure they do show up in Attack of the Clones, so it's not like it was a surprise to anybody to see the Emperor's Royal Guards here and there, or at that time they were Palpatine's guards, or Chancellor Palpatine's guards. So I think Hasbro just kind of did that. It's like, well, you know, they're both pretty much the same exact character, so we'll just do the Senate Guard first, and then we'll do a variant of the Royal Guard. The Senate Guard, I'm pretty sure, was the easier action figure to find. I've had this one ever since 2005. I think I got this for Christmas of 2005. It's an action figure I cherish greatly in my collection. He's been with me for, 17, 18 years now at this point. And this Emperor's Royal Guard, I do recall seeing a couple times at retail. Interesting story about this particular figure as well. Not this one, but another one like him. I did, when my local Kmart was going out of business a couple years ago. Sad to see Kmart go away. They had some Star Wars action figures that have been sitting in the back for, like, at that point it had been like 12 years. And one of those was the Emperor's Royal Guard here. The package was in really bad shape. You can tell it's been through the ringer a time or two. And I did not get that one at the time. And a lot of it is because of that. It's like, you know, it's been sitting in their back room for 12 years, and, you know, they're clearancing everything out and going through and getting rid of everything, and they probably just found it. They also found the Anakin to Darth Vader Evolutions pack as well, and that one was pretty beat up. So it was interesting. It was 2017, and you see Revenge of the Sith action figures on store shelves at Kmart. Really a blast from the past on that one. But this Emperor's Royal Guard actually got on eBay about 2 years ago at this point, and I'm glad I have them. So what more can I say about these? Like I said, they're both numbered as figure number 23. This is not the package. Just put that there for prop purposes. But let's just go ahead and take a look at the Senate Guard here first. So when I look at the Senate Guard, I always think back to the Tartakovsky series in Season 2 when General Grievous blasts through the window there and attempts to kidnap Palpatine. If you recall, there is a couple brief scenes in there where we see the Senate Guard, and he looks exactly like this. You can't see his face at all. It's just a black visor. Not sure if this is exactly what that's supposed to be based off of. It could be. But usually when we see the Senate Guards, they have the exposed face there. So I did review the Emperor's Shadow Guard recently, and if you've seen that review, that's the same exact tooling as this action figure here, which I'm pretty sure this is between these two, they're the originals for that particular tooling. So if you've seen that, you kind of know what you're seeing already, minus the paint and the helmet. Very nice blue here, a royal blue color. And he looks really good if you have a Senate collection as well. That's another video I'll make at some point. I do have lots of senators, and of course Chancellor Palpatine and some of his entourage. And these guys look really good with that. So, in terms of sculpting work here, as you can see, his helmet is that crest on top there. Looks pretty good. It's not very defined though. Usually you can see a little bit of some layering on the sides of things like that. Not so much the case on this. Just take his rifle off there. You can see his armor underneath, which shows up a lot better on this one compared to the Shadow Guard. You can take his robes off. If you are able to pop his head off, you could probably just take the robes off. It's nice that Hasbro went to all the trouble to detail out the armor underneath, even though most people aren't going to be able to see it because of the robes. For the robes here, it is a very nice thick material. It's a little bit translucent. That's really good material. And it flows naturally as well. It doesn't really look weird or awkward in any way. And as you can see, he's got his holster there, which houses the Scout Trooper pistol. In terms of the articulation, it does have technically a ball joint head, I would say, but you can only really get swivel motion out of it because of the shape of it. It could be a swivel neck. It's hard to tell. Either way, you can't get much motion out of it. It has a little bit of up and down motion, so I'm leaning towards that being a ball joint. He does have a hinge at the shoulder, really good range of motion there. Swivel elbows, which I know a lot of people don't like, but personally I think it's okay for this action figure. He has swivel forearms, and swivel waist, then swivel hips, then hinge knees, and no hinged ankles, or no ankle articulation in general. In terms of weapons and accessories, he does not come with a staff at all. He just comes with a rifle and a pistol, which is a pretty nice rifle. I'm not sure if this was released in the Power of the Jedi Senate Guard that we got back in 2000. I do not have that action figure, but I would like to get him at some point. And he does have that strap there, which, as you could see at the beginning of the video, it does fit around him pretty good, and you can display him like that, which I think he looks really good. And of course the same old Scout Trooper pistol that we've gotten with so many action figures before, and it fits okay in his holster. You gotta be careful when moving this guy around. He'll stay in the place there like that, but if you tip him upside down or move him a certain way, it will fall out. And then, of course, both action figures did come with display stand. I'm pretty sure they came with the display stand. I know at least the Senate Guard here did. And it's the usual Coruscant Jedi Temple base. And I think this is probably the more common one that we got. It looks really nice. And he fits on the stand really good. Then for his variant here, we have the Royal Guard. I have featured this Royal Guard on the channel before. It was one of my top 10 videos. I think it was my top 10 most underrated action figures video. And today, that still holds true. I think he's an excellent action figure. After I had him in hand, it's like, why didn't I get this one before? If you don't have any Royal Guards for your collection, this is the one I would recommend getting into. Especially since now I think the TVC one's getting kind of expensive again. He's originally, when he was released, he wasn't even released in US at all, just in maybe Canada and Europe and Australia, so a lot of people missed out on it. Then he was repacked in the Black Series line, 3 3/4 inch line, and I think a lot of people pretty much got their fill of him by then. And I think he's still somewhat affordable online, maybe not the cheapest, but not out of reach either. Then he was repacked again in the TVC line, and I think by then most people that really wanted him had him. But if you're brand new to collecting and you're on a budget, I think this is a great contender. I actually got, like I said, I got them on eBay, and I think I only got them for like $6 or $7. I did get him loose, but he's complete, and as you can see, he's in great shape. So $6, $7 for this, I think is a really good deal, considering they were about $5.99 at the time. So not too bad. So if you want to army build them, or if you need 6 Royal Guards for your collection for whatever reason, or more, even a dozen, you could easily probably drop a $100 bill on about a dozen of them. So like I said, pretty much the same exact action figure as the Senate Guard, minus the paint and the helmet there, which I think that's one of the best helmets for the Royal Guard that Hasbro's done. The proportions are right on it. Looks really good. Has a little bit of that glossy red look to it. For its armor here, same exact armor, but this time just casted red, which looks really nice. There's a little bit of purple in it as well. And similar to the Senate Guard, he has a very thick robe here. And it flows much better than the TVC one, I think. The original TVC one, that is. That one had a very thick robe as well, but it was so bulky that it didn't look right, and the helmet didn't sit right on it. None of these action figures here have a removable helmet, which is perfectly fine. They don't really need one. Articulations, same exact thing. Of course, he has the swivel elbows, so nothing more to really say about that. And weapons and accessories are pretty much the same thing. Don't have his pistol displayed in there, and I think a lot of it is because I had a hard time keeping that in there and it fell out a lot. But he did come with the same Scout Trooper pistol that the Senate Guard here had, and of course he had the same rifle as well. And he can hold it in his hand pretty good. Could get him to hold it with 2 hands if you finesse it right. Let's see here. Something like that. Which looks really good. Unfortunately, this Royal Guard does not come with a staff, though, which is kind of an essential accessory for the Royal Guard. It's not the end of the world, though. In some ways, I think it's kind of unique that instead of having the traditional staff, we just got a rifle and a pistol instead. Kind of like the precursor to what the Royal Guard would eventually become. But still, it would have been nice to include that. So what more can I say about this? I'll just bring out the Shadow Guard here. And we can see how all 3 variants look together. There is a Black Series pack out there, which I'm pretty sure came with the Senate Guard, Royal Guard, Shadow Guard, and a Praetorian Guard from the sequel trilogy, I think. And that was released in 2015, I think it was, 16. I think it may have been 16 or 17, which at the time, it was incredible that we got a Shadow Guard, an expanding universe character in the Black Series line, because nobody knew. At that point, it seemed like Hasbro and Lucasfilm were kind of distancing themselves from the EU. So the fact we were getting EU characters still was a big deal. Of course, now it wouldn't be as big of a deal. It would be nice if all those action figures would get a repack, though, in the Black Series line. Who knows? But for these 3 here, I like all 3 of these, and I would highly recommend all of them. Like I said, the Senate Guard, I cherish greatly in my collection. He always has a special place in my heart because he's been in my collection for 17 plus years at this point. And these 2 I've had for a little while now at this point, and I like all of them for what they are. At least for the Senate Guard and the Royal Guard here, fairly affordable. Shadow Guard a little bit more pricey, but not the worst. The Senate Guard, the Senate Guard did receive a repack in the Saga collection in 2006 as part of like that greatest hits line. which was just repacks of Revenge of the Sith figures. And I don't think the Royal Guard here received that same repack in 2006. So the Senate Guard you can find for no problem at all. Comic book store, eBay, all good prices usually. Same with the Royal Guard. So if you want army build these guys for your collection, these are the ones to do it. And I think these are some of the best versions of these characters that have been released. So great figures all around. Highly recommended. So anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be lots more come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate your support. And check out some links in the description as well. As always, thanks for watching.